Hey everyone, there are a few mistakes you can make with your Medicare benefits that seem small, but can have some really nasty consequences. And I'm talking about the kind of consequences that can cost you thousands of dollars. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about 4 of the biggest mistakes and how you can avoid them. Oh, and hey, this video is different. I'll just say that you definitely want to stick around into the last couple of minutes because I'm giving away something that you can't afford to miss if you have any Medicare decisions in your future. Hey, I'm Devin, and if you're planning for or living in retirement, this channel is for you because we break down all the complicated rules and make it easy to understand. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe, and everyone should hit that like button. So if you're making Medicare decisions, you've probably noticed that it's not exactly straightforward or easy to understand. It's full of confusing language, plans that seem pretty similar, a lot of different deadlines, and more than a few hidden costs that can take you and your budget by surprise. I've seen more than a few people make mistakes with Medicare, and here's the 4 mistakes I see most often and how you can avoid them. The first is misunderstanding enrollment periods. You know, this system would be so much easier to understand if there was just one enrollment period, but there's not. There are several, and they all have different purposes. There's the initial enrollment period, which is a 7-month period that runs 3 months prior to when you turn 65, the month you turn 65, and then 3 months after. This is when you first sign up for Medicare. And then there's the general enrollment period, which is for someone who missed their initial enrollment period. It typically runs from January 1st to March 31st. And then there's the one that you hear about the most often, which is the open enrollment period, which happens every year between October 15th and December 7th. This is where you can make changes to a Medicare Advantage plan or where you can switch to a new Part C or Part D plan. But in addition to these, there are a few other enrollment periods that only apply in certain circumstances. But the point of this part is not to fully explain the enrollment windows for the various parts of Medicare, but to drive in the point that if you're not keeping up with these various enrollment periods, you could easily miss one. And in a lot of cases, missing an enrollment period is going to result in a penalty, and in most cases, these penalties will result in higher premiums for the rest of your life. So you've got to take the time to figure out these enrollment periods or get someone to help you. The second mistake is choosing the wrong Medicare path. One of the big Medicare decisions you'll have to think through is, should you stay with Medicare Parts A and B and add a supplement? Or should you go with a Medicare Advantage plan, which combines all of that? Now, we don't have time to go into the details of each plan in this video, but there are differences and big differences too. If you switch to a Medicare Advantage plan and later decide that you don't like that coverage and you want to go back to traditional Medicare, you'll be subject to health underwriting except in certain narrow circumstances. This means that if you've gotten sick, you may not have the option of switching back. I'm not saying, though, that Medicare Advantage is bad. I know around 1/3 of all Medicare recipients choose this path, but just please do your research and fully understand what each option will cover and how that relates to you. The third mistake is not reading your annual notice of change. If you have a Part D or Medicare Advantage plan, you're going to receive an annual notice of change typically in September. This notice tells you how your plan is changing in the year ahead, and there's always something that changes. It may be something simple, like the premium changing, potentially going up or going down, or it could be something really big, like your family doctor is no longer in the network, or an expensive medication that you take is no longer covered. This notice is very important, but unfortunately, it's really easy to miss too because they come in September. What else comes in September? Well, all of these Medicare solicitations where your mailbox is just blowing up with mail. So it's really easy for this to get mixed in with all of that garbage mail and you to throw it away without realizing it. So you're going to have to watch for it, read it, and make changes if needed. And the fourth mistake is not using the right resources. There's an abundance of free resources that you can find quickly and easily online, and I'm going to show you some of my favorites in just a moment. But one of the best resources will be finding an awesome insurance agent who really knows their stuff. Listen, you've got to be so careful here. You know, technically, I have the right licenses to sell you a Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage policy. But let me just go on record as saying that would be an absolutely horrible idea. And no offense to the guy that handles your auto or home insurance, but that's not who you need to use either. You need to find someone who specializes in Medicare policies and keeps up with all of the changes from year to year, because I promise you, the Medicare landscape is constantly changing. And even then, once you have found that agent who only does Medicare policies, you have to be really careful, because I've known of more than one who just pushed the latest garbage product with the highest commission rates. You need an agent who's going to get to know your situation and fit you with a plan that meets your individual needs. And I know that sounds like every Medicare agent's marketing brochure, but I promise you, they are out there. And I can assure you of this: if you find the right fit, it's going to make your Medicare decisions so much easier and help you avoid these mistakes that we've talked about. But before you find that right agent, you really need to do some basic research. You're going to have to make some big decisions, and you can't afford to be completely passive. You need to spend a little time learning about the basics of the program. Now, that, in my opinion, is the only way you can stay safe and not get taken advantage of, is a little education. You may want to start with the Medicare and You brochure that's an official publication of Medicare. And I still find it fascinating when I see this brochure that they have this and it's this clearly written. I wish the Social Security Administration could publish something like this. Unfortunately, they don't. And I'm going to link that Medicare and You brochure up in the comments below, in the description below. Also on the Medicare.gov website, there are numerous calculators that'll take you down a progression of figuring out which plan is best for you. You may also want to do some basic internet research. You have to be careful here. YouTube has some fantastic videos that cover Medicare, and then they have some that aren't so great. But if you want to use just one resource, this next resource will be it. A few weeks ago, I got my hands on a Medicare Basics course that was made by my friend Danielle over at Boomer Benefits. Now, you may have already heard of Boomer Benefits, but if you haven't, they are one of the highest rated Medicare agencies out there. Now, this course is something that they typically use as part of their client education process, but right away, I knew this was a resource that I wanted to share with my audience if she would let me. And thankfully, she did agree to let a few of my viewers have this for no charge, completely free. And I'm going to give you the link to this in just a moment, but first, here's what you can expect from this course. Over the next 6 days, you're going to receive a daily email that covers one core area of Medicare. This focused approach makes the information easy to digest and retain, and that's the way that I like to present things. Also, these emails will have both written and video explanation of the day's topic, so you can make sure you fully comprehend the subject. I'm completely convinced that getting this course is going to be one of the best moves you can make to help you avoid the big Medicare mistakes that potentially could have a devastating impact in your retirement. In the description, you're going to see the link listed first. Now, if you're on a mobile device, just click the down arrow on the right-hand side of the screen and you'll see the description there as well. Hey, I hope you enjoy this free course and that it helps you make great decisions about Medicare and avoid some of these big mistakes. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day.